How to do your makeup in a God-honoring way that conservative men are sure to love. This look holds so true to biblical values that you could actually find a Puritan woman wearing something similar in the 1600s. Perhaps the style will even make a comeback under the current fascist regime. This video is just a small portion of a larger video essay that I'll be sharing on YouTube later this year, but this look is the result of my year-long research into one particular accessory from history. The Scold's Bridle. Though more of a torture device than an accessory, I was curious to see what emotions would emerge from turning this piece of oppression into fashion. The Scold's Bridle, like a horse's bridle, surrounds the head and restricts its movements. An iron gag presses the tongue down, and a chain makes the victim defenseless against their oppressors. This item, designed by the church for its own women, was used to keep them silent, to keep them obedient. Much of the information online about this item might lead you to believe that they were used on witches, only one small part of history. But there were no real witches, just women who dared to speak up or stand out, to be themselves. The reality is that we still feel the gravity of the Scold's Bridle every day in the modern world. Every time a woman is called a gossip, every time she's interrupted, every time we elect a good Christian man into office. Be ye not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they come near unto thee, and whose speech could be more dangerous than the successors of the one responsible for humanity's original sin, Eve. A potentially purposeful mistranslation has made her seem less than her male counterpart, though the Greek word Selah is translated to mean half in the rest of the Bible. Only in Genesis is it ever translated to mean rib. Man tried to paint Eve as inconsequential, made from the single rib of a man, and yet she is still so powerful, as she was destined to doom us all. For it was Adam who was first created, and then Eve, and it was not Adam who was deceived, but the woman being deceived fell into transgression. All of humanity's suffering, so easily placed on the backs of those who are made to suffer most. Christianity teaches men that uneducated women are inferior and irrelevant, but educated women are manipulative and dangerous. Their thoughts contradict as they are taught to simultaneously desire and dislike us. Wild horses and wild women are of no use to these men. Domestication may be violent, but it may be quieter, more sinister. After some time, she begins to call the stable her home. This is where she belongs, he tells her. She was born to submit. Her wild tendencies are now softened by neglect, as man is not always kind. She always gives more than she gets in return. And every so often, her eyes will catch the light of the sun. She'll think of what it might feel like to be free. This is when she becomes a threat. So on the day that men feared most, when women found books and community and began to loosen the locks on their stable doors, men found another way to keep them docile. These women were branded as scolds, a shameful title that no one held proudly. They were gossipers, tattletales, and nags. Even the most headstrong woman could be shamed into submission. The Scold's Bridle was a feral punishment for a woman acting uncivilized. To wear the bridle was to be no better than a workhorse, to have no more humanity than a mule. Her neighbors would point and whisper as she was led through the streets, defenseless and dishonored. A public reprimand would act as a reminder to every woman watching. This is what will happen if you fall out of line. Women were turned into spectacles and their appearance was weaponized against them. Being perceived became the punishment. And when shame was still not enough, these men of God sharpened the bridle further, because a woman could not speak up without a tongue, without teeth. God was a woman. God was a woman until Christians lit fire to the old religion, stamping out as much as they could manage, and stealing for themselves what little remained in the ashes. This torture device invites us to look into the past like a mirror. It asks us to open our eyes and see clearly where we came from, what values we have, what morals we hold. It reminds us that we are still products of our past. The Scold's Bridle has simply become invisible, but it is still being held over our heads. The term scold has just been replaced with nag and gossip and bitch, because to humiliate a woman we relate her appearance to shame, but to humiliate a man we relate him to a woman. Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" And the woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate."